Tonight, the National Food Buffer Stock Company says 40 warehouses are now ready for use as part of measures to address post-harvest losses in the country. Commodity trade and research firm Isoko had expressed worry the country could experience a food glut as the bumper season approaches. The 40 warehouses are part of 80 being constructed under the One District, One Factory initiative. Hanan Abdul Wahab is Chief Executive of the National Food Buffer Stock Company.
Yes, I see this as a matter of concern, and I'm also very happy to share with you that we have made all necessary arrangements to accommodate the excess grains that will arise as a result of the bumper harvest. As we speak now, 56,000 metric tons capacity warehouses have been added to our existing capacity from the One District, One Warehouse initiative. 80 number of such warehouses were awarded, 50 for Ministry of Special Development Initiative and 30 for Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Out of the 50 from Special Initiative, 32 number warehouses are ready. Out of the 30 from Ministry of Food and Agriculture, 14 number warehouses are ready. Each of the warehouses are 1,000 metric tons capacity. So we are adequately prepared to receive or to purchase the excess grains from our dear farmers. We are very much aware of how the outlook of this farming season is like.
Okay. These warehouses you talk about, because the last time we talked, you spoke about the fact that you were hoping to take delivery of, if I'm not wrong, between 40 to 50 warehouses in July. Where are we at with that?
Currently, those are the warehouses I'm referring to now. So they are ready. They are ready.
They are ready now.
So 32 from Special Initiative and 14 from Ministry of Food and Agriculture. As we speak now, we are doing the procurement process of pallets and polysacks so that we can quickly move in and then fumigate the whole place and then set up the place for the harvesting period.
Okay, so seeing that we have good storage and enough storage capacity for our food, how do you think that it will also affect pricing?
Okay, so what we know for sure is that once we, as a buffer stock company, we are able to, as part of our mandate, to keep government, emergency food reserves, and also to release these food items in times where prices in the system are high, just to stabilize prices. So this is good for us in terms of stabilizing prices, because as we all anticipate a bumper harvest, we are going to buy more than what farmers can manage. That is the excess produce into our warehouses. So once we do that, meaning government has some kind of strength sitting in our warehouses at any point in time where the prices in the market are going high, then we are mandated to release the food that we have in our warehouses into the system to stabilize prices. And of course, that is not the only mandate of the buffer stock. We are also to see to it that in terms of emergencies, for example, or even disaster, not more will fall on us. And most especially now that we are not in normal times where we know for a fact that there's going to be a global food shortage, we are at an advantage because of the planting for food and jobs. We have been able to put together this infrastructure and strategies that we will be, let me put it this way, harvesting the dividend very soon. So we are adequately prepared in terms of storage and then production.
The NAFCO boss, they're addressing concerns of post-harvest losses. Now, the IMF African boss, Abebe Selassie, says high deficit may not be a problem if spending is advanced to growth-led sectors of the economy. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta earlier admitted that government spending by end of year would be far more than projected. According to the minister, there's been additional spending as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, speaking from Washington, D.C., Mr. Selassie said current environment may require some additional spending, but must be well targeted.
I do not see this as being an issue right now. I think, central banks should do what they need to right now to support their economies. If indeed there is a sense that there is excess liquidity down the road, that there's always scope to, do monetary operations to mop up that liquidity and keep an eye on inflation. But right now, I don't see inflationary pressures in many countries. By no means all. I mean, there are some countries where inflation remains stubbornly high, but that was the case pre-crisis also. None where we see inflation being a threat on account of the liquidity injection countries have done, and that's a problem we can attend to down the road. The heterogeneity in Africa is just incredible. And, just because Nigeria has had these issues with illegal cross-border trade and has taken the action that it has, we shouldn't be defining Africa as a whole on account of that. Most notably, I think, relative to particularly what has been taking place in most of the advanced countries, I think Africa has been the only region where we have actually seen a move towards a greater trade liberalization, to which now every country has signed on to. By no means are things perfect. Trade facilitation, reducing border, bureaucratic issues, even infrastructure remain big hurdles to facilitating this trade. But at least in terms of policy commitment, it is there. And the autonomy for growth, we shouldn't underestimate really how much growth was domestic driven for the last many, many years. I know there's a sense that, Africa Rising played off perhaps too much on commodity prices, but that really was important for the countries that were exporting oil or iron, copper, etc. But if you are Kenya, say, you have relying on flour exports, other manufactured goods. High commodity prices were actually quite harmful. Right? High oil prices imparted a negative terms of trade shock. So a lot of the growth that happened in the vast majority of countries which are not commodity exporting did happen because of domestic factors and not just the external largesse.
All right, still on COVID-19 and its impact, Chief Executive of the Petroleum Commission, Egbert Febo Jr., has been highlighting the impact of COVID-19 on Ghana's projected oil revenues. He was the keynote speaker at an ongoing forum to mark the 10th anniversary of the Africa Center for Energy Policy.
Oil production and revenue forecasts for the year have been significantly affected, largely due to the postponement of the pecan development. According to Ghana's Ministry of Finance, the total estimated fiscal impact from the shortfall in petroleum receipts, shortfall in import duties, shortfall in other tax revenues, the cost of the preparedness plan, and the cost of the coronavirus alleviation program is 21.42 billion Ghana cedis, or $3.89 billion US, which is 2.5% of revised GDP, with a shortfall in petroleum revenues alone being 5.7 billion Ghana cedis, or $1.04 billion US. Secondly, regarding the impact on work obligations and operations, the ongoing or new projects across Ghana's oil and gas value chain are likely to face numerous challenges in terms of project execution, planning, and risk management. A few of them are worth mentioning here. The first being, the year began with the Commission approving work programs and budgets for E&P companies in the exploratory and appraisal stages. The companies were due to undertake various drilling campaigns, acquisition and interpretation of seismic, geological, and geophysical data. The Iban 1X exploratory well of ENI, Nyankum 1X and Chenchen 1X appraisal programs of AGM, Afina 1X appraisal program of Springfield, exploratory well drilling campaigns of AMNI, Eco Atlantic, and GOSCO have all been postponed. The projects were estimated to cost about $324 million US. It is also worth noting that the initial period of extensions granted some of the companies under the respective petroleum agreements were due to expire in the course of this year. However, the impact of the pandemic has necessitated the freezing of work programs and a decision to restore the periods lost as a result of the freeze.
Mr. Fable also indicated Ghana's second oil licensing round would delay in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Quite a number of oil firms have expressed interest in acquiring oil blocks, but Mr. Fable says the pandemic has made plans uncertain.
The industry had attracted a considerable number of investors after the first licensing round. 13 potential entrants, including BP, Antoil, Shell, among others, visited the data room and were awaiting the next bidding round and limited negotiation periods to acquire blocks in the sector. All of those intentions are in abeyance today as a result of the pandemic. COVID-19 is likely to delay Ghana's second licensing round as government prioritizes managing the domestic impact of the virus and waits for investment conditions to improve. Licensing rounds that proceed in the short term risk receiving fewer or no bids due to low investor confidence. Under the current circumstances, oil and gas investors will likely be reluctant to commit an exploration budget to licensing rounds in the near term due to the economically challenging conditions and uncertainties created by COVID-19. Looking further ahead, the Commission expects that licensing round activities will be subject to significant uncertainties, stemming both from the unknown length of the COVID-19 demand shock and the duration of the current excess supply. Aker Energy was expected to submit its POD in Q2 2020 and subsequently make the final investment decision to commence the project. The Pecan development is valued at 4.4 billion. It's postponed or was postponed in March 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
In other news, after 10 years of agitation, all members of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union of the TUC now get to benefit from some incentives they are entitled to, even though the incentive known as the Critical Support Allowance was supposed to be paid to all staff of the Ghana Education Service. Only 11 classes out of the total of 22 in the service received that benefit. But speaking to Joy Business, the national chairman of the union, Peter Lumos, said his outfit has received a letter from government by way of approval for payment to commence for the remaining staff in the service.
It's a family. Education. The teachers come and teach and go. And there are not teaching staff who are there. And so if you deny secretaries, you deny administrators, you deny storekeepers, you deny watchmen of an allowance. So for us, we thank the president, we thank the government for listening to us. That is what we want, and we've gotten it.
Okay. So how is the agreement like? How is this allowance likely to be dispersed?
It's 15% of members' basic salary. And we are saying that the effective date is from January. We expect that it should be implemented this month, and then the arrears can be spread. You know, we went into single spine 10 years ago. Then the teachers raised issues that their placement and so on, there was problems. So government at that time decided to give teachers something they call retention premium, all teachers. And we, those at that time, argued that you cannot give only teachers and leave non-teaching staff. So the government at that time, with E.T. Mensah as the Minister for Employment, decided to give 11 classes. And we had argued from that time to today that we are a team. You cannot give 11 and leave the remaining 11.
Meanwhile, TAWO is making a passionate appeal to government to provide its members some risk allowance as a result of the exposure to COVID-19 in the field of work. Mark Kranche is acting General Secretary of the union.
The members, and especially our TAWO members, are hard hit in the sense that even when schools were down, closed down, our members still had to report to work because we have to go and perform certain administrative functions and so on and so forth. Security men has to still keep post to ensure that the schools are safe. And we have done this up to this point, even when school is reopening in phases. So the point is that our members have exposed themselves to some of these risks, and we think that it won't be bad. It won't be bad at all if some incentive is given our members in this regard for having taken the risk even in the heat of this pandemic, going about their normal duties as if nothing is happening.
So when you talk about incentives, like what kind of incentives are you
saying? Some allowance, some for staying through and for sustaining our jobs and works. Some allowance wouldn't be bad. I mean, like they are giving some health workers some tax rebate and so on and so forth. If something similar is preferred or given, granted to our members, I think it will be in the right direction.
Now, to one of our top stories tonight, the Minister for Aviation, Joseph Kofi Adai, has described as inaccurate the assertion by the Workers' Union of the Ghana Airports Company that there are plans to privatize the Kotoka International Airport. Workers at the Ghana Airports Company Limited demonstrated against the alleged privatization move, but the aviation minister at a press conference today said the workers misled the public. Ebenezer Sabotage report.
According to the aviation minister, Joseph Kofi Adai, there's not been any plan to either sell or hand over any assets of the airport company to any foreign or local investor. Though he admits that the company has been distressed with some debt levels emanating from the construction of the Terminal 3, government is keen on its expansion works to increase revenue.
There's no intention to privatize Ghana Airport Company or any of its operations. There's no word like privatization being used in all the correspondence that we've been engaging on the way forward to improve the service delivery and expand infrastructure for the company. 3, there's no plan whatsoever. There's no intention. There's no statement anywhere about the management takeover or management contract for a foreign team or outsiders to come and take over the management of the Ghana Airport Company. 4, there's no planned layoffs or retrenchment or redundancies or dismissals of workers of the Ghana Airport Company or the management or staff. So on this basis, let me say that what I tried to say before, you can say they're factually inaccurate.
Sarada also disclosed that a team will be constituted to work on proposals brought to the government from a Turkish firm for a strategic partnership.
People from the ministry, the company, senior staff, union, to engage the partner on all these aspects of the concept paper. Once that is done, we will now go to the level of negotiating the details before we sign whatever documents that we think needs to be signed. I must say that if it goes along the lines of what we think that we should consider, there may be more than even one document to be signed, more than one agreement to be signed. So the ventures will be different. For instance, we don't have a good parking lot in the airport. We don't have a budget hotel in the airport. We don't have terminal buildings where, for instance, we can get aircraft parts being sold in Ghana and distributed to different parts of West Africa region. Ghana Airport has no money to do that.
The expansion works at the various airports have been negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Now, tonight we want to conclude with an exciting story, a story that lifts up our spirits. A Ghanaian-born entrepreneur living in the UK, Shirley Nze, has taken up the challenge to support young entrepreneurs in Ghana and across the continent through funding amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. She's joining us via Zoom from the UK, I understand, with more about what she's doing. So the borders are closed, there are restrictions on movements in the UK. Why the urge to support entrepreneurs here in Africa? Shirley, if you can unmute, we cannot hear you.
Thank you for having me, first of all. It's fantastic to allow me this platform. My own plans were disturbed. I was supposed to come to Ghana in March. And so with that happening and other recent events that basically have highlighted the fragility of the way in which we do business, I just figured that it would be a good time to create economic opportunity and allow the youth some, to tap into their creativity and come up with pandemic-proof ideas that could potentially lead into businesses that could, spur us on out of this crisis.
Okay, so I'm told it's called Bright Ideas 2020. Tell us a bit more about it, how much you're funding or how much you're injecting into this. Yeah.
So Bright Ideas is basically, we want to find really clever ideas, simple to execute and quick to get to market. We are funding an MVP, so basically that's a minimum viable product to help the person launch. We've got lined up an amazing array of mentors, coaches, thought leaders. We've got some fantastic partners, Ashesi Design Lab. There are many, many more we're speaking to. So we're going to give them mentoring, coaching, but also working space and also the support network that most entrepreneurs miss when they start in business. So, they have fantastic ideas. It's a matter of execution, and it's a matter of getting the support and the tools to avoid the mistakes that a lot of people do and lose businesses, basically. So that's what it's about. Bright Ideas is part of Ocasio. So Ocasio Online is a platform that's going to be launching in the future. It's designed to connect Africa as a continent. It's designed to let investors meet innovators, workers meet their employers, training. There's so much going on. So if anyone's interested in Ocasio, join. It's Ocasio Online, OCCASIO.online. And Bright Ideas, that's part of our initiative as well. So, yeah. If you're 18 to 30, please realize you are the future that we need, and we need you to step up, and we're here to support you. So don't be scared. Join the initiative. That you've got absolutely nothing to lose.
Okay, final question to you. This based on what you think about the prospects, seeing that we are struggling during these times of the COVID-19 pandemic. How do you think African entrepreneurs can surmount the hurdles during these times?
Yeah, we're definitely in challenging times. We've seen the meltdown of familiar structures in terms of career paths coming out of university. These are all changing. So I think that we need to tap into our networks, even at home. Obviously, there's stimulus programs, so supporting local businesses where possible, where safe. Coming up with ideas, working together, connecting with your communities, and just trying to find new ways of working. There's a huge opportunity right now to do business online, to connect with the people in the diaspora. There was a fantastic initiative last year in terms of the year of return. We can continue those conversations, those dialogues, because we have the networks here to help people who want to broaden and come into foreign markets, just as you guys know what's going on the ground. So it's really about connecting people to get business happening.
Thank you so much. I hope to speak to you another time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. And that's Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwao. We'll see you next time.